if he gives up his height, that's an immediate problem because you're going to allow Pacquiao to come in at crazy ass angles and get the jump on you. You know what I'm saying? Number two, experience. To me, Chris Algieri simply does not have the experience. If you look at his opponents, like I'm saying, he just doesn't. He doesn't have the experience to fuck with Pacquiao, who to me is a Hall of Famer and on a different level. Number three, no pop. He doesn't have punching power. So my question, you could be a great boxer, but if Manny Pacquiao, who does have a granite chin despite the Marquez knockout, see, some of you guys get boxing so twisted up. You say, oh, Pacquiao has no chin because Marquez knocked him out. First of all, Marquez had 3 opportunities to fight Pacquiao and learn his moves, little subtle chances and little stuff like that. But Chris Algieri, this is his first crack at it. And I don't think he has the respectable punching power to warrant Pacquiao's authority or attention and like really disengage Pacquiao or frustrate Pacquiao or deter Pacquiao. But let me tell you, Chris Algieri is getting fucked up. Like it's it. There's levels to this shit, and I see it no other way. I know some of you guys are gonna be like, he's a damn good boxer, and stylistically, he's getting his ass whooped. Mark my words. And I really see no way for Chris Algieri to win at all. Like, I'm not trying to be negative. And there's only been a few times on my channel where I'm telling you this outright. I don't really know, but I'm not really going with the stoppage. Ultimately, I think Pacquiao will win. I'm not going to say he stops him. It's been a little while since he's had an actual stoppage, even though he looks really lean, looks really good, looks really fast. I think Chris Algieri, he's tough. He showed heart in the Ruslan Provatnikov fight. What up, Fight World? It's your boy Ego, and I'm back with some more boxing. Another prediction. Got it right. Told you guys. Let's break it down, the fight. I want to talk about the good, the bad, and the ugly like I do on my channel. So if you're easily offended, or you don't want to hear 2 sides of the story, you only want to hear one thing, then click the video off. Now, the fight played out pretty much how I thought. And again, early on, a couple weeks back, I did a video named 7 Reasons Why Chris Algieri Won't Beat Manny Pacquiao. And I went, like, it was a pretty intense breakdown. I had pictures, slideshows and shit. And the fight played out pretty much like I thought. I said it would win some kind of decision, possibly controversial. It wasn't controversial. Pacquiao did his thing. He looked very dominant. And some of the things that I said in the 7 Reasons Chris Algieri Will Lose were absolutely right. I told you guys Chris Algieri gives up his height. At times, he's never fought on that level of a stage, that type of platform. He's not winning a decision. And one of the big reasons that I said, I think it was like one of the early second reason or something that I listed, was he doesn't have the power. He doesn't have the power to hurt Pacquiao or to get Pacquiao's respect. And the problem with that, I'm not saying boxing is solely about power. However, Pacquiao is a good boxer. Pacquiao's not Ruslan Provatnikov, where he's going to come at you in a straight line only and fight only one type of way. That's what makes Pacquiao Pacquiao. He has good footwork. He's quick with his feet and his hands, so it's a different ball game. If you're Ruslan, yeah, Chris Algieri might be able to outbox you because you're coming with one game plan and kind of one angle of attack. Pacquiao doesn't do that. I told you. I said the angles, the speed, all that. And that's pretty much what it was. And it's just like football. Let's say you have a quarterback that doesn't have a good arm and you're down by 2 touchdowns. It's pretty much a wrap for you. You can't really do nothing. You can't rely on your quarterback to deliver that Hail Mary long 80-yard pass and completion to win you guys the game if your quarterback doesn't have an arm. Same thing with Chris Algieri. No disrespect, but I told you guys he does with 8 KOs, and I've seen him fight. He does not have the power to win and to beat Pacquiao. And again, it's not just about power, but Pacquiao's a good boxer as well, and I told you that. And on top of that, another thing I said was post Marquez knockout, Pacquiao has been a lot more responsible. He hasn't been as reckless. He hasn't been jumping in, and he's been fighting a more efficient fight. Brandon Rios, he probably could have stopped him on cuts or something, but he didn't want to get overzealous and get too overconfident and get in a position where he gets knocked down or hurt or knocked out or something like that. So he's been a lot more defensively responsible than he has been in the past. Not even defensively, just more or less his offense. He doesn't just like stay on top of you and then keep rushing in. He's just a little bit better in that department from what I've seen. So again, Chris Algieri was never going to be able to deliver that home run knockout. Like if you had Lucas Matisse or somebody at 140 and Pacquiao's fighting him and he's down on the scorecards, there's a chance that even if he was getting beat the whole fight, he could deliver something that that really hurts Pacquiao to the point where he can finish. Lucas is a good finisher, but Chris Algieri doesn't possess that. And again, if you give up your height, that's a problem. And I told you guys, Chris Algieri would have to fight almost the perfect fight, like use his jab, use his reach, use the little bit of power that he has without Manny Pacquiao ever getting really any confidence. Now, let me talk about the actual fight. I think the game plan for Chris Algieri was pretty bad to me because Manny Pacquiao is a type of fighter you want to discourage him early. If you don't, he's going to be a problem. He's a fucking whirlwind. He's like a tornado. And you let that dust kick up and start spinning and then it starts collecting. Before you know, you have a full-blown tornado in front of you. Now, Chris Algieri, in my opinion, what he should have done is sat down on some of his fucking punches in those early goings. Like, establish some level of a pace and stop letting Pacquiao, his confidence elevate. This is a guy that's been knocked out in the last 5 years. So, not saying you're going to knock him out because, again, I don't think he had the power to do that. But you had to, Pacquiao, with the knockout comes other things psychologically. Pacquiao doesn't want to have bad performances even. He's a guy who's possibly in line to fight Mayweather, the mega fight of the century, the biggest payday for both fighters. And he wants to look good in there. So if Chris Algieri established a good rhythm, a good crisp jab, sat down on his punches, that might discourage Pacquiao. But he didn't really do that. He didn't really do anything. He didn't let his hands go and establish that respect that he needed to establish. Again, I told you if he went for a KO and got like stupid and try to fight a style that's not suitable for him, that would have spelled trouble. So I think he needed to be right dab smack in the middle. And this is why I didn't favor him to win, because I didn't see him fighting this perfect type fight where he's not overstepping his boundary and trying to fight like a brawler, like a big puncher that he's not. And he can't really make any mistakes. You know what I'm saying? So it was a tall order. Props to Chris Algieri. I do give him props for being game. He got knocked down. He got hit with some serious heat, and he didn't have to get up. He wanted to fight. So I give him props for lacing him up first and foremost, and I also give him props for just showing heart. And he did go the distance with Pacquiao, and he was really losing every round. Like, you have to give him maybe some pity rounds if you gave him any rounds. It was very hard to. I do think some of the knockdowns were bullshit. However, they didn't really make a difference because he wasn't winning rounds. Again, I think his game plan, he had to be somewhere dab smack in the middle where he's boxing, but he's also establishing power in terms of not physical power, but more or less control, pace power. Like you're controlling and dictating the pace of the fight more or less. And he had to keep Pacquiao on the end of his jab, and he wasn't able to do that. But you got to give Pacquiao credit because Pacquiao created those opportunities. He probably was hesitant to throw. And I told you in my 7 reasons Chris Algieri will lose video, there are levels to this shit. I think that was my words verbatim. There are levels to this shit. And Chris Algieri simply wasn't on that level of a Pacquiao. Pacquiao has far more experience. He was the fighter who had fought even higher weights than him and fought bigger guys. Chris Algieri hasn't done that. That's why I didn't really want to see the fight, because I think Chris Algieri, if he were to fight Pacquiao, let him at least get a couple more, like defend his title. We don't even know, had he not fought Pacquiao, if he would have mixed it up with some of the top contenders at 40, like Adrian Broner, Danny Garcia, Lamont Peterson, there was no guarantee that he would beat those guys. Some of you guys were saying, oh, he beats those people easy, but to me, those aren't easy fights for him either. So I would have liked to see him like defend his title maybe 1 or 2 times before a Pacquiao fight, but everything fell into place. They looked at a guy who was clean cut and marketable, and the fight was made. So, I mean, no use crying over spilt milk. But again, I give Pacquiao credit for how he looked. The pros would be Pacquiao's speed looked good. He was cutting off the ring good. And you know, I mean, just he was dominating. He was good footwork. He didn't get caught with really anything too much. The bad side for Pacquiao, the con I would say, is Pacquiao still doesn't seem like vintage Pacquiao. There were shades of vintage Pacquiao, but he doesn't look like the fierce fighter that was fighting Morales all three of those times, or Barrera and Ricky Hatton knocking those people out. Like, he had Chris Algieri. I don't have my round numbers memorized and stuff because I just watched it. He had him really seriously hurt, truthfully. And he couldn't pull the trigger. He couldn't finish a guy who is a light puncher that he probably didn't respect his punching power. And he was still susceptible. Again, Chris Algieri didn't really let his hands go, but he was still susceptible to that right hand. That right hand, especially if it's a guy with power, I'm curious to see how Pacquiao's going to respond. If he gets in there with a Keith Thurman, someone who could crack, I'm anxious to see how he takes that right hand from a bigger guy that's, you know what I mean, a little bit more precise and knows he has power. Because when you know you have power, it's a different level of confidence. Chris Algieri, again, he knew he didn't have power, despite whatever they were saying before the fight. Oh, I'm going for the knockout and all this shit. They know he doesn't have power. So he knows when he's in deep waters, he's going to drown. There's nothing he could do. And I thought his game plan was, in his coach and his team's game plan was pretty bad, because you were digging yourself an early hole. And the only thing that you can do is win via like a KO. Like, you can't let all those, again, against a guy like Pacquiao, you can't let that many early rounds go, because then you're going to have to force it to the point where you have to get a knockdown or a stoppage to win. And we knew that wasn't going to happen. So basically, you have to, you know what I mean, have a pretty competitive, even fight, so you don't have to get desperate. Like, sometimes I play people in Madden online, right? And if I'm beating them in the fourth quarter and I'm beating them by 4 touchdowns, yeah, now they got to go for all kinds of crazy plays, go for it on 4th and 20, because they have to catch up to me. You know what I'm saying? So I just felt the desperation wasn't going to work. I did give props to Chris Algieri for showing heart. Let's talk about the bad of Chris Algieri. Aside from not letting his hands go, not really even using the crisp jab, I thought his corner was absolutely terrible tonight. I thought Chris Algieri's corner did no justice. Like, I like to hear that conviction, that passion. And I'm not saying they're not passionate. I'm not even trying to disrespect anybody, but I thought they were bloody awful how they conducted the in round or between round conversations with Chris. They were like way too chill. Yeah, Chris, we got him right where we want him, man. Yeah, let him out the cage. I'm gonna let Chris Algieri out the cage. Like, and then he gets knocked down and hurt in the, like, right after he said that. Like, that's not what the fighter needs to hear. Chris needed to hear, like, a reality check, what was really going on. Like, you're getting destroyed. You gotta sit down your punches. Even at a point where Pacquiao was like really hurting Chris Algieri, it appeared, and I don't know which ones were knocked down, some weren't. They could have even considered stopping it, because Chris Algieri is not the youngest fighter. He's 30, I believe. But you don't want to see your fighter take that much punishment. There's other guys he might be able to beat at 140. What's the point in having him take punishment after punishment? And then after he's severely hurt, the corner's not really even saying nothing. They're acting like cool shit is going on. Like Chris Algieri is comfortably ahead or some shit, just with their demeanor. I thought their corner was absolutely dreadful, to be honest. And I'm not even, like I said, I'm not trying to disrespect nobody, but I thought they did a horrible job. That would not, if I was in his corner, that would not be my attitude. I'm not trying to panic the fighter, but at the same time, I would give the fighter a dose of reality. And you're talking about, yeah, we got him right where we want him. Like, no, you don't. We're about to let you out the cage. Like, no, you're not. So I just thought the corner's job in Chris Algieri, his corner was definitely not suitable. They weren't really telling them things to win. I hate that. I hate when corners don't tell you what to do to win. And I know they can't fight for you now in the ring or whatever, but there's little things you could do to help his chances. Telling him like false hopes and stuff, that's not really the way. Again, so the fight was pretty mild. It wasn't the most sensational fight. It's no fight of the year. Pacquiao was pretty dominant, and that's what I expected. If you watch my previous videos talking about this, that's what I expected. And I told you if Chris Algieri was looking for the knockout, he would in turn get knocked out. And it looked like had he pressed the action a little bit more, that was definitely a possibility. So anyway, props to both fighters. The fight played out just like I expected. To me, the performance was solid from Pacquiao. There was hints of vintage Pacquiao. But like I said, when this fight was initially made, I still got to see more. I want to see Pacquiao in. Like, if you're going to fight someone in the lower weight, fight somebody who has a little bit more firepower, or firepower plus boxing ability. Danny Garcia fight would even be better, just because Danny Garcia might not be as tall as Chris Algieri, he might not be as good of a boxer, but if he catches you with that left hook, it could get interesting. You know what I'm saying? Danny Garcia is a big kid. A lot of people forget about that. Now, he could get tore up too, just because Amir Khan looked good and he was blitzing him early. So it's a good fight, but Pacquiao hasn't been stopping people. So I would definitely like to see a Danny Garcia fight if they're not going to make the Floyd Mayweather fight, which should be everyone's #1 fight that they want to see. So anyway, I'll probably talk more about Pacquiao in another video. This one, I don't want to get too long. So let me know what you guys thought of the fight. Did you stream it? Did you watch it? Did it go according to your plan? Make sure you like my video. As always, hate, comment, or subscribe. Till next video, is Ego signing off.